welcome to Motor Week. Well, if you've noticed that gorgeous thing behind me.
Thanks.
No, not Howard, it's a TVR. And that's because, where are we, Howard?
The Birmingham International Motor Show.
The BritPack is back with a vengeance at the Birmingham Motor Show, so make sure you don't spend too much time lurking on the stands of the major manufacturers. Come and check out what some of the small British companies are up to and you may be pleasantly surprised. Jensen are here with their first all-new car for many years. It's called the SV8 and it should go on sale towards the end of next year, priced somewhere between £40,000 to £45,000. Robin, congratulations. It must be a real day for you here at the Motor Show, but can you just tell me, how did you come to bring about the Jensen name?
Well, the company we've got is a company called Creative, and we design, style, engineer vehicles for other people and tool them up and install them. And we've done it quite a few times for major customers in America and Canada, and on the continent. And we thought, well, let's have a go ourselves, let's do one ourselves. So, as part of a development program, we started to develop this vehicle, and it started to look real promising. So we said, hey, we could make something of this. Let's go and find a name that we could put to it and put some styling related to that name into it. And we did. We went out and we purchased the Jensen and the Jensen Interceptor name, and we styled this new sports car. We put over some of the cues that you get from the old styles of Jensens.
It must have been a huge responsibility because the name of Jensen, it's so steeped in British motoring history. Was it a real feat? Did you really have that weight on your shoulders?
Yes, I feel that, because we didn't want to create a kit car. It would have been easy to create a kit car out of that. But we've applied to it the latest technology. It's an aluminium body on a steel chassis. It's using the latest technology of bonding and riveting of panels together. So it's really leading edge technology. And it's a superb car.
What's the general reaction been like? Because there really is a buzz about it. Are you happy with what people have been saying?
Absolutely stunning. We couldn't have imagined the way it's gone today. We was expecting a fair amount of interest with an old name brought back. It was tremendous. We've not stopped since we started at 7 o'clock. Totally talking to people. We've had over, I think, 28, 30 orders already today, which is tremendous. That's the first 2 months production for us.
To make sure the new Jensen is packed with performance, under the bonnet there is an all-American V8. It's a 4.6 litre 32 valve engine with 325 brake horsepower that you'll normally find in the Ford Mustang. Now, the only pictures that have been available of the Jensen so far have been on an internet site, and that has already created an amazing 15,000 inquiries. So, if you fancy an alternative to the Porsche Boxster or TVR Cerbera, then keep your eyes out for this when it hits the streets next summer.
Undoubtedly one of the best cars I've driven for Motor Week this year was the Lexus LS 400, but then what do you expect for 50,000 quid and a car stuffed full of bells and whistles? If that's out of your price range, then you might want to consider this new offering from Lexus, unveiled here at the British Motor Show, the IS200. About £20,000 and there to compete with cars like the BMW 3 Series. It looks very stylish indeed. The Lexus IS200 is the new challenger in the highly competitive compact sports sedan market. Developed especially for the European market, IS200 is designed to offer the Lexus trademarks of exceptional performance, superb ride and handling, and high levels of comfort. It's a front-engine rear-wheel drive configuration, and the straight-six 2-litre engine was chosen because of its power and torque characteristics that were considered to be just right for a sports sedan. Characteristics further boosted by intelligent variable valve timing to improve low engine speed torque and high engine speed power. The 2-litre engine develops 155 brake horsepower at 6,200 revs, but perhaps more importantly, the engine is smooth, powerful and sweet sounding throughout the rev range. Uniquely in this class, the Lexus IS200 is equipped with a 6-speed, close-ratio manual gearbox to ensure optimum gearing under all driving conditions. A computer-controlled 4-speed automatic is available as an option. Equipped with the manual gearbox, the Lexus will reach a maximum speed of 215 km an hour, that's 135 miles an hour, and accelerate to 100 km an hour, 62 miles an hour in 9.5 seconds.
The people at Alfa are doubtless going to be hoping that the work they've put into the fantastic 156 and the warm response it received from all and sundry is going to pay off when it comes to the 166 and mean that people are going to be more than happy to buy Alfa. The image has always been right, the history, the heritage, the pedigree. Fact was, they used to fall apart. Well, the 156 shows no signs of doing that, and at first glance, neither does the 166. The exterior looks fantastic. Slide inside and it's absolutely beautiful in here. This is one of several trims available inside. It's called the sports trim, but it's indicative of the standard of all of them, and it's beautiful. Detailed touches abound. There's badges everywhere. There's beautiful stitching. It's very well put together, very comfortable, very practical, ergonomically very sensible. There's useful hatches, plenty of oddments storage. Then you've got to get on the move. Well, there's going to be 4 engines in total. At the bottom, but it's unfair to say that, is the 2-litre 4-cylinder twin-spark. It's unfair because that's the classic engine in this standard of car and a classic engine from Alfa Romeo. There's then going to be that same engine with a turbo fitted, which will be an awful lot of fun. There's a 2.5-litre V6, there's a 3-litre V6, and ultimately there's going to be the 2.4-litre turbo diesel called the JTD, which will be absolute state-of-the-art. It'll be direct injection, common rail, everything going for it. And interestingly, both the diesel and the 3-litre V6 will be fitted with a 6-speed manual gearbox, which says a lot about the way Alfa are going to be marketing the diesel and the importance of that being seen as an increasingly sporting brand. This is the 2.5-litre V6, and I have to say that of all of them, it's my least favourite for the simple reason you're not in the 2-litre 4-cylinder, which is working hard for you. You don't have that same sense of achievement, and neither do you have the grunt of the 3-litre V6. That said, it's a great engine, willing, practical, needs revs to be driven as you'd expect from a fairly small capacity V6, but give it those revs and it does return with great performance. What can beat the squeak of denim on leather? The leather in here is an optional extra, but given that the prices in the UK are expected to start at around about £23,000, the car is going to be priced very competitively against the opposition from Germany anyway. And for that £23,000, you do get electric windows front and rear, a fair amount of kit, including, most importantly, for me, the best gizmo of all, which is this screen. It's a kind of central unit that contains the controls for pretty much everything. Integrated control system, we've got our main and audio, we've got our air conditioning system controlled through here, we've got our navigation system, trip meter, climate control. It's actually quite clear and quite easy to use as well, which is pretty refreshing if you ask me. In the inevitable compromise between sports driving qualities and the comfort demanded by the company car driver, Alfa Romeo have definitely erred on the side of comfort, but that's to be expected. The 156 really is there to be the driver's car. Having said that, yes, there is a degree of body roll. Yes, if you push it through corners, it does start to lean a bit, but there's plenty of grip there, and it is very controlled body roll. it makes for quite a pleasant drive. There is a good compromise here. The rear suspension from the 156 is carried over onto this, the 166, so a multi-link rear suspension setup and a degree of pre-programmed oversteer. So if you lift off midway through a corner or midway around a roundabout, the car will turn in nicely, which makes for overall a pretty pleasant driving experience, and it makes for the best compromise really between being able to carry 4 people in comfort and style, and if you're out on your own, have a bit of fun as well, which if you've got an Alfa Romeo, you're going to want to do, aren't you?
Do take some time out from the hustle and bustle of the motor show to stop for a while on the American giant stand Chrysler. As usual, they have a stunning display of models. And what really steals the show is the Pronto Cruiser, which you can see behind me. Now, at the moment, they're saying that it's just a concept, but do remember that both the Prowler and the Viper started out as concepts, so it may not be too long before we can go cruising in the Cruiser. The car has been inspired by 1940s American Art Deco, but it isn't just a stylish dream. You'll find a couple of very good engines underneath the bonnet. There's a highly efficient 1.6 litre petrol engine, which has been developed jointly with BMW, or a 2 litre petrol engine with a 5-speed manual transmission from the Neon Racing package.
Don't go away, there is plenty more where that came from right after this short break.
Here on the Toyota stand at the British Motor Show, we're confused as to what these balls might mean. So we have to take a look through these binoculars and we see Toyota's latest small car. Small baby, it's called the Yaris, and it should be available in the UK from spring 1999. Toyota claim it's revolutionary. They say they've designed it around the human body. They started off with a blank sheet of paper, and what they've come up with is quite a nifty looking little car. It's almost as tall as an MPV, but the size of a Mini. It will come with a 1 litre engine, which should produce about 70 brake horsepower and return 50 miles to the gallon. A diesel version will follow as well, as will a clutchless manual car version. So there's lots to come from Toyota with this rather new revolutionary Yaris. What they've done inside the car is also rather smart. This plasticky interior, you could say, but instead of having the speed controls direct in the line of sight, they've offset them to this side here, which is rather bizarre. I'm not quite sure if I like that. The switchgear, plasticky and cheap, to be perfectly honest. But this should be on sale spring 1999, the new Toyota Yaris, either in 5-door form like this or in a rather smart 3-door coupe.
The whole concept behind the interior is to be built around the individual. So it's very, very spacious. We like to think it's got as much space as much bigger cars. It's got quite an unusual instrument binnacle. We've moved it from, conventionally you have an instrument binnacle in front of the driver. We've moved that to the centre of the dash, and we've given it an LED, if you like, head-up fascia. So all you have to do is when you're driving along, just change your glance and look at the instruments. You can see all your vital readings there, very quick to read. Some other packaging bits and pieces are the sliding rear seat, so you can increase the boot space or increase the rear passenger space, legroom if you like. That's quite a neat feature that the rear seat slides. You can also fold, as usual, fold all the seats down to make it a nice flat load space as well.
It'll come in 2 body styles, a 5-door and a 3-door. And what about engines? What are you going to put in terms of?
It'll just be launched with 1 engine initially. That'll be a 1 litre variable valve timed engine. So if you like, we've gone to a quite small size engine, a 1 litre engine, 4-cylinder, 16 valve technology, but with variable valve timing, so you get a good spread of power and torque across the rev range. So if you're in 5th gear, you put your foot down, it'll accelerate nicely.
When the designers came up with the car, they said they designed it around a human body form. What was the reason for that?
The reason for that was to get good ergonomics, basically. So you sit in the car, you have a high hit point, so it's easy to get in and out of the car. You have, obviously the controls are right there in front of you. As I've explained, the head-up display is right there, so it's very quick to read all the instrument readings. Basically, the designers thought, we want to start with the human form, the human body, design the car around that to make it the best possible fit with everyday use.
The Mercedes S-Class is a car that's simply packed with innovative new features. And our Mr. Technology himself, Howard Stapleford, has been to check some of them out.
Here's one for those individuals who feel that driving 3 inches from the car in front at 80 miles an hour will reduce their journey time by a significant amount. Because those clever boffins at Mercedes-Benz have developed a safety device that should reduce those ludicrous gains on our motorways. Distronic uses a radar to gauge the distance to a car, truck, or even motorcycle in front. The sensor is hidden behind the radiator grille. There are 3 transmitting and receiving units, transmitting constantly with an opening angle of 3 degrees, and that enables the system to keep track of 3 lanes of traffic. The shortwave radar signals, 77 GHz, detect an obstacle and return on a different frequency. The change of frequency varying depending on the distance involved, allowing the digital signal processor to work out how close the obstacle is. Gentle easing off the throttle or braking in more extreme situations is then activated to increase the gap to a safe distance. Operating the new system is similar to Mercedes Speedtronic Cruise Control. When you've taken your S-Class to your desired cruising speed between 25 and 100 miles an hour, you merely move a lever on the steering column up or down and the system is engaged. Your selected speed range is displayed on the instrument cluster, as well as displaying a graphic of the distance between you and the car in front. And because the system uses radar, it can even see through fog or heavy rain. Now, many innovations start in top-of-the-range models like the S-Class and later filter their way down into more mundane models as the technology becomes less expensive to manufacture. This is an innovation designed to improve road safety and must be applauded for that. Personally, well, I think it just might annoy the hell out of the driver. Quickest off the mark here at the British Motor Show with an unveiling at 8 o'clock in the morning was the Indian motor company Tata. Now, if you've ever been to India, you might associate Tata with those ugly belching agricultural machines that seem to use elephant dung for fuel. But after an investment of $300 million in a brand new state-of-the-art assembly plant in Pune, Tata are relaunching themselves here with a workaday 4x4 and a scenic looky-likey Super Mini. Mr. Kavarana, does this herald a new era for Tata in the UK?
Yes, I think so. This is the very first time that we've come to the UK with passenger vehicles or totally designed passenger vehicles as opposed to multi-purpose vehicles which could be used for commercial purposes as well as passengers at the weekend. Yes, so in a way it is our very first entry into the UK market with a passenger vehicle.
Now behind us is your new Super Mini. Tell us a bit about that.
The Super Mini is well, I would hope you consider it also to be a very contemporarily designed small car, but it's really not small. It's got a 1400cc engine and comes in both petrol and diesel versions. It's fairly roomy inside. It can seat a five-person family quite easily. It's got a lot of safety features built into a car this small, which are not usually available in a car which is priced at this kind of level, or will be priced at a substantially lower level than contemporary vehicles in the marketplace here. First, we'll be launching it in India in December, and we hope it'll be a success there. It's really for the middle-class family in India, where they've been deprived of, if I might call it, a contemporary vehicle for quite some time. As you know, in India we've had 20-30 years of the old Morris Oxford. It's only in the past decade or so that Maruti Suzuki came in with a contemporary vehicle, but that's now got dated. There are of course new entrants coming in with new vehicles, Opel Astra, Ford, the others, but we hope that Indians will be proud to have a totally Indian car that was designed and engineered entirely in India.
If you really want to drive something out of the ordinary, something eye-catching and head-turning, then Marcos is a company that will never let you down. They've been producing real sports cars for 40 years now, and this is the latest one to tempt you. It's called the Manta Ray. The Manta Ray's performance is unmistakably that of a Marcos. There are 3 engines in the range, a 2-litre turbo, a 3.9-litre V8 or a 4.6-litre V8 with a phenomenally quick 250 brake horsepower. Top speeds reach 150 miles per hour. The Manta Ray is like a cartoon car come to life with all its fantastic bulges in all the right places. You sit way down here in the cockpit and really feeling involved, and you can admire this gorgeous interior that's all around you. All in all, this is a car that makes you remember what fun it can be to drive.
Land Rover have claimed for years that theirs is the best 4x4 by far, but if you're in the deserts of the Middle East or the Australian outback, they say you've got a long way to go to beat a Land Cruiser. So, does the Land Cruiser Amazon stack up to its reputation? Richard Hammond gave it a road test.
Come on, come on, come on, you can do it.
Even Toyota admit that over a third of existing Land Cruiser owners hardly ever drive off-road, and I reckon the figure would be significantly higher if we adjusted it to take account of their definition of off-road. That's not to say it isn't a capable off-roader. It is, extremely. African plains, desert crossings, ice treks, expeditions of all sorts, no problem. It just happens that it's extremely good at taking the kids to school, all of them, and all of their friends. Toyota first brought the Land Cruiser over here in 1975, and now four-wheel drive models account for nearly 15% of their car sales in the UK. The Land Cruiser has earned that crucial factor in any car: image, pose value, cachet. This latest edition is the biggest bruiser of all. It sits at the top of the Land Cruiser range and is very handy for frightening lorry drivers. With a name like Amazon, you know it's going to be big, but it's getting to grips with just how big that really boggles the mind. These wheels look like they've been nicked off quarry trucks. The headlamps come off a cross-channel ferry, and these side steps are actually made from broken up bits of oil rig. But that's unfair. It makes it sound crude and clumsy, which it isn't. Remarkably, all 3.5 tons of it can lope along quite nicely, thank you, and that's helped by the choice of two engines. Not surprisingly, there's a V8 petrol. In this case, it's a 4.6 litre 230 brake with about 430 odd Newton meters of torque available. And then there's this. It's a 4.2 litre straight 6 24 valve intercooled turbo diesel. Yummy. But please, just because it's diesel, don't think wheezy old taxi or cheesy old oil burner. Think big beefy truck. Think, oh, don't think at all. Just listen. Because this thing sounds gorgeous. Oh God, I like a diesel.
Well, that's all we've got time for this week from the British Motor Show, but we'll be back for you next week with more.
Remember, this is the only programme that brings you all the news stories from the British Motor Show, so we'll see you again here next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.